Welcome back, all of you Gaxers, to the Girls Ask Guys show. This is the place where all of us try to figure out flirting, dating, relationships, breakups, and everything else that life throws at us. I'm one of your hosts, John.
And I'm the other one, Ashley.
In our last episode, we gave some opinions on crushes, different ways to handle them, and how to hopefully turn those crushes into a relationship. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about manipulation. Not just on the guy side, but the girl side as well. We had 2 questions come in on this, and when we looked into it just a little bit more, we saw that this was a much bigger problem than we had thought. So this will be a special, multi-part show. So to kick this off, Ashley, have you ever been manipulated?
I mean, I would like to say no, but there's a good chance that everyone has been manipulated. I think it starts like with parents, and then, you get older and you start dating. Yeah, I've been manipulated.
I can say I have been manipulated. Actually, I've done things and I knew I was being manipulated, but I actually did it anyways. Why? Because I wanted the approval.
Right?
That's how bad it was. I wanted the approval. So I allowed myself to be
Sounds
manipulated.
familiar.
I think that's pretty much why anybody does it. I mean,
right.
Even back in my older days, I mean, that's actually what we did. We actually learned how to manipulate people.
You know, it's sad, but it is like a thing.
Yeah, and everybody does it. There's really no good way of putting it, but there's like an acceptable manipulation, and then you got the unacceptable manipulation.
Right.
The unacceptable, you really want to go to this other restaurant. He really doesn't want to because he knows if he does, he's going to be broke for the rest of the month. But you kind of push it and he agrees. He knows he's being manipulated. You know you're manipulating it, but he's doing it anyways. And guys will do it the same way. I really don't want to mow the lawn, so I'm just not going to. I know if I don't, she's going to do it anyways. So why do it?
Yeah, manipulation is I'd say it's tricky to talk about.
Yeah.
Because we're all guilty of manipulating and being manipulated. I mean, it seems to be like a huge topic.
Oh, yeah. This is a huge topic. When I actually started looking more into it and just seeing how popular it was, I mean, I found that just in the United States alone, over 100,000 searches a month are being done. And there's really only 2 countries that are searching on this, and it's the United States and the United Kingdom. And it's not just about girls searching about the guys, it's the guys searching about the girls. So it's on both sides. And this is being covered by Psychology Today. Match.com, one of the biggest dating websites out there, wrote an article specifically for women to recognize when a guy is manipulating them. LinkedIn caught it. How big of a problem does it have to be for Business Insider, a business magazine, to write on a topic like this?
Right. But I mean, manipulation happens in all those places. You know what I mean? Like number of businesses, I'd say one of the biggest places where manipulation takes place, you know, like car salesmen or anyone who really sells anything. They're taught manipulative tactics of the book. Yeah.
Amazon is one of the biggest manipulators. I mean, it's $1 billion just in the United States alone. I mean, that's $1 billion worth of manipulation that is taking place.
And you know what? We all still subscribe. Not all of us, but most of us have Amazon Prime, and we couldn't imagine life without it.
Actually, Amazon Prime has when most businesses are trying to fight for a 3% conversion rate, Amazon is so good at manipulating. And we know we're doing it. We know that they are doing it because they're like, oh, if you bought this, you might like this as well.
Right.
Or you combine these 2 products and save $20.
Yeah.
It's a 77% conversion rate for Amazon Prime members. Think about that. 100,000 people per day, and 77% of them are converted on Amazon Prime every single day. As far as manipulation in relationships, this is like a breakout topic on Google in both the United States and the United Kingdom. That's how big this is. And that's why we're tackling this. Our question comes from an anonymous female. She's asking, is the guy I'm dating manipulating me? She goes on to say, I met this guy last month. He seemed really into me and things went well for the first couple of days. Then it's like every time we plan something, he cancels because of work. Then expects just to come over when he wants. At times he is totally awesome. Then he just becomes distant for no reason. I love seeing him. I want to see him more often than we do. I'm just wondering now if he is manipulating me. What do you guys think? Any insight would be appreciated.
I don't think he's manipulating her as much as he is I don't think this is manipulation as much as it is like setting a boundary issue. This, to me, it always goes back to, I think this is one of those things that's like, he's not necessarily manipulating you. He's kind of just establishing dominance. As in, I'm the man, I tell you when I get to see you. Because I have a really weird work schedule.
Yeah, so do I.
So when I date, it's difficult. I work at a local theater. So there are shows that pop up. And there's also shows that get canceled. So it's not necessarily distance as much as, and I'm sure you can vouch for having a weird schedule too.
Oh, yes.
It's difficult. So there might be some truth to that.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't say what line of work he's in, but I mean, if he's in, let's say they live in New York and he's in advertising, yeah, I mean, you can, I've seen that world. There's no way I want to be involved with it. But yeah, those are some crazy schedules. I mean, even with my work schedule where I work nights and it's flip-flops every couple of weeks and I get called in, plus I get training dumped on me at the last minute. So it's difficult. So I'm not saying that he's doing that on purpose. Right. As far as canceling, that could be totally valid. But however, when he calls her up and just, hey, I
have a problem with that.
Yeah, that I have a problem with, because if she continuously allows him to do that, she's giving up all of her power as far as guiding what direction this relationship's going to go in. And he's going to see that as a norm, and he is now dominant.
He might be depressed. It's not necessarily manipulation. I tell this to people all the time I'm dating, which sounds like I date a lot, and I don't. Life's bigger than you. It could just be that, because it says at times he's totally awesome, then he just becomes distant for no reason. I mean, the guy could be dealing with something.
Yeah, now I see it as two different forms, because this used to be a tactic when I was involved in the other stuff. Because we would do that. We would actually go hot and then cold. And when we went cold, the other person would think they did something wrong. And then they come crawling back. Oh, that's please awful. Come back. Please come back. Yes, it is. It is totally awful.
So garbage.
Yeah. In the lingo, we used to call it the freeze out.
That is called the single forever in my book.
As that whole thing went on, we realized it only worked on certain types of people. Other people like yourself, it wouldn't work on, because you'd be like, fuck you, I'm out of here.
Oh, you don't want to talk good because I don't like you. Yeah, no, I do. Like I said, that's terrible.
Yeah, it only works on people who have
self-esteem issues, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have high self-esteem in some areas, but there's other areas that they have low
really
self-esteem, and yeah, they're hungering for that attention that they're just not getting, and that's the kind of person that whole system worked on. Once you start branching out, you start looking for other more higher quality people. It doesn't work.
Could you imagine why? But I like I said, this doesn't seem like manipulation as much as, I don't know. There's a lot. This is very vague. And like we say, if you guys want a real, good answer, be as detailed as possible. Make sure you write in and you include certain details. For instance, you say he cancels because of work. What does he do? Because if he's got a high demanding job, then what do you expect? He's totally awesome at times and then he's just distant. Like I said, life's bigger than you. Sometimes talking to someone and asking them what's going on can really help with the situation.
Yeah, because I mean, when I got back from Iraq, I mean, I was dealing with not just PTSD, but also huge amounts of depression, because my military career ended and I really couldn't do anything. I went from this high energy, extremely active lifestyle to, if you step off the curb the wrong way, you could be paralyzed for life.
Right.
I was like, oh shit, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I went from doing everything to doing nothing overnight. So, I mean, he could be dealing with depression. I mean, again, it depends on what job he has. I mean, if he's like a corporate lawyer, oh my gosh. I mean, they screw up a case and the whole corporation can fail. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to deal with. I want to kind of flip this a little bit, looking at from a different angle. Let's say he is playing manipulation games.
Yeah, let's do
There's
that.
different types of manipulation, or 6 very popular things that guys do in order to toy with women's emotions. And coming from the world that I was in, I've learned that emotions are like the woman's Achilles heel. I
Right.
mean, I can poke an emotion and get a certain reaction. And that's kind of what we did. I mean, it's terrible. I understand that. It is totally terrible. That's why I got out of it, or at least that aspect of it. I still use some of the tactics. I just don't push them like I used to. If she says no, or it shows that she's not interested, I give up right then and there.
Wow, what a nominal idea. Someone's not interested in you. You leave them alone.
Well, like the last show where I talked about approaching a girl in a line at the grocery store. I could talk to her and say, hey, this was great. We should keep in touch. And she's like, no, that's okay. Oh, well, it was nice meeting you. And I go on about my business. I've had that happen. And then I
Right.
bump into them a week later at the same store. Hey, how's it going? And we carry on a conversation. Still doesn't want to hang out, but hey, I've got somebody that I can shop with, so it's fun.
Right. You got a shopping buddy. That's like,
yeah, I got a shopping buddy. But really, the 6 ways that a guy can actually toy with a woman's emotions, one is just outright lying to him. Okay, so let's really flip this whole thing on its head and say that he's not canceling because of work. He's canceling because he's actually married.
Okay. I can buy that.
Yeah, I can't do it tonight because I've got work. Go home to the wife. Okay, wife goes to work. Hey, mind if I come over? So that's the biggest. Yep. And even the guy with the friggin' Lamborghini. I drive a Lamborghini. I rent it for $150 a day, but I drive a Lamborghini. Lying again. And it's another form of manipulation.
Yeah. There is, I mean, you're not wrong. Like I said, there's a possibility if he's lying to you, that if he's lying about work, is he making plans with you knowing he has to work? Because that could be a manipulation tactic. Yeah. Maybe he's just in this for a different reason than you are. And that's the nicest way to say it without what he might think it is. Is he trying to come over at nighttime? When is he coming over? You know, you have to look at all that stuff too.
Yeah.
If he's only coming over when he wants to have sex with you, he might not be manipulating you. He literally might just not know that you think you're in a relationship with him.
Yeah, that could be very true.
Because there's nothing worse than one person thinking something, and this is something that happens because I'm like you guys know, I'm a serial monogamist. So I am the worst person. I don't do casual at all. Like casual is not good in my brain. So I have been on that end where I thought we were in a relationship, so I try and hang out and, you know, do cool stuff. Turns out we weren't.
That's one of the great dynamics that we've got, is that we're like polar opposites on so many different levels. I mean, you guys are really getting this from really 2 completely different angles, but I'm the complete opposite, where I casually date a lot of women until I'm able to narrow it down to, okay, she has the most traits that I'm looking for. And I've got a list of traits. I mean, it's like 14 traits that I look for. And you've got to have at least 4 before I even consider you.
Honesty, I imagine, is one of those traits.
Yeah, honesty, having a sense of adventure, a little bit of mysteriousness. Their sense of humor lines up with my sense of humor, because everybody says, oh, he has to have a sense of humor, or she has to have a sense of humor. Okay.
No, you have to have the right
sense
of humor.
What if they like the old Benny Hill potty joke sense of humor, and you just find that a complete turnoff? You're more like Robin Williams' sense of humor.
You just verbally attacked me now. I feel verbally attacked by that one. Yeah, no, sense of humor. I'm learning that. I'm dating someone with a very, very different sense of humor. I'm very dark, and you know me. Yeah. I find almost everything funny. The person I'm dating, they're not quite that way. Very sensitive to everything.
Yeah,
and so I'm learning how to
Yeah, I mean, I
cope.
like self-deprecate all the time, and it's not because it's not because I hate myself. It's just like I just don't care. I mean, I've got guys that
Yeah.
work that crack on me all the time, and I just kind of look at them and go, okay.
I'm your boss.
Yeah. But another
yeah.
form of manipulation that a lot of guys use, and I see this one constantly, especially because of the environment that I work in, is guys will go from hot to cold just to play with her heart. And that's kind of what I keyed in on this, was that he'd be like all into you one moment and then just completely switch off the next. And women react to that, especially if you really desire the relationship. I can speak from experience. I can go several months without actually looking for anybody or going out with anybody. And then you're kind of like, I wish I had somebody to share this with. And then you just really want that relationship, and and you'll do almost anything to hold on to it.
Right.
And when they go distant on you, you're like the dog scratching for the bone. Another one is playing hard to get.
I hate that entire concept.
Well, guys do it and girls do it. I mean, I've done first approaches, and their body language and everything tells me they're into me, but still they're playing the hard to get thing.
You're fucking 12 years old.
And I'll call them on the bullshit.
Sorry, I'm just not a fan of the hard to get concept. I think it's just super annoying. I don't have time.
I'll play with it, especially when we start getting into that like flirting area where you got the playful touching and you got the little innuendos happening, and she could throw something at me and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have to try better than that. I'm not that easy. And it's playful. You can tell by my tone of voice, my gestures, and I'm playing with it. But I don't I don't have time for the hard to get thing, and I really hate playing it. But that's another thing that guys will do. A big one is a false sense of security. Not so much financial security, because everybody's a lot of girls say that they want the security and everything, or guys hear security and they instantly think money.
Yeah, that's
what I've learned is that women will live in a cardboard box with you so long as you're with them. Yeah.
Some women
will
do that.
But in general, they will follow you to the ends of the earth so long as you are there for them. So it's emotional security.
Correct.
So like myself, because I play the field, they really don't get that sense of security all the time.
Right.
Now, when I'm dating, when we're out on a date, I'm all yours. I'm not looking at anybody else. My focus is totally on you. But I'm going to do the same thing with a girl I have a date with 3 nights from now.
How do you do that?
It's not that. It's really not that difficult. I don't stack them up. I don't have like one every day of the week. I have like 2 or 3 people that I date at any one point in time. Yeah, and most of them, they've met each other and they're totally cool with it. Yeah. It's not, when you've been at this as long as I have, it's not that hard to do, to keep everybody friendly.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hey, Brittany, this is Mandy. Mandy, this is Brittany. Yeah.
That's intense. That's insane. I will never date you because that sounds awful to me. But I'm sure that it does work. If it works for you, it works for you. Like I said, I'm very like
some girls are not
fairy tale romance.
Girls, they hear it and they're just like, oh fuck no. I mean, it's not happening. I mean,
it ain't.
We are dating. It's you and me. That's it. Period.
That's my crazy. That's my exact crazy.
Yeah. Until we decide that we are going to be exclusive, she's free to date who she wants. I'm free to date who I want. But we're not. I draw the line at 3-way menage a trois and all that other nonsense. No,
I do not draw the line there. I am perfectly fine with a menage a trois. I am not okay with someone dating someone else.
Yeah, because usually my hands are full with one. I've tried 2 a long time ago. Yeah, it felt like I was. Oh my gosh, we'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, maybe that'll be our next episode, because we don't really talk about sex that much, but we probably should, since it is a dating show.
Yeah.
But back to manipulation.
Let's see. Okay, so the guy's going to promise emotional security, or he's going to give the illusion of emotional security, while he's going to kind of play with that, kind of give it, take it, give it, take it. So you really never know what footing you're on. So, I mean, your emotions
Right.
are just going all over the place trying to figure out what the hell is he doing.
That is exhausting.
Yeah. Getting up a little bit more, it's not so much manipulation. Now we're starting to get in more control, is trying to dictate your time and your actions. When you're going to
Yes.
show up, when you're going to do something. I come home, dinner better be on the table, the house had better be clean, the dogs had better be outside. I mean, yeah, now we're starting to get more, you need to call the cops, is what you need to do.
Right. You need to be careful.
Yes.
How does he react when you tell him no? You know, that's a key indication of manipulation / because manipulation at its core usually leads to some form of emotional or physical abuse. And I would say that with most people, and I'd say most of us don't even realize that it's happening to us until we get out of the relationship.
For the last one, and this one I see all the time, especially in the work environment that I'm at. They promise to change, knowing all too well that they are not going to change at all. And what do a lot of people do? Oh, he's going to change. He says he's going to change. No, he's not. He has no intention of changing. He's going to tell you what you need to hear to get what he wants.
Or they'll change for about a week, a month.
Yeah, maybe.
Things are getting better. When I hear that from people, it goes back to the same nonsense that it was before, because this person, while they tell you, yes, they're going to change and, you know, they can't imagine hurting you and all this stuff, they already know what they're doing. We're operating with adults here. And that's something you need to think about. If they're an adult, they know exactly what they're doing. Most of us dated in high school. Most of us dated in college. We know how this game goes. We know what's being played. And that's the thing. Be honest with yourself. Do you deserve to be manipulated? No.
Yeah, and that's why I call it the game, because that's what it is. I mean, this is the game of what guys do to get girls. It's what girls do to get guys. It's what both sexes do to control each other, to get what they want. It's everything from the approach and, yeah, I see him coming. You better just turn back now. Okay, I want to go in. I want to do this. It's the game.
It's the game.
It continues on even after you're married. I've talked to people who are in their 80s that have been married for 60 some odd years, and they still talk about the games that they play with each other to get the other person to do what they want.
Right. Instead of just asking, because you can't just do that.
Yeah, but think back to every time you went out with somebody and you did something that you later regretted because of some button or some emotion that they made you feel. I've encountered this where I've going back to work, and without getting into any kind of specific details, this one girl slept with this guy, and it was not what she wanted to do, but he knew the buttons to push in order to get her to do what he wanted. And she was manipulated into having sex with him.
That happens in relationships a lot.
A lot.
I think it's just now something that people are talking about, but sexual manipulation is real. It goes both ways, manipulating someone into sleeping with you or using sex to get what you want from someone. But where people are manipulating people into having sex with them, and by manipulating, like you said, you know, saying all the right things, even though they know they don't want to sleep with them.
Or what is it? I've heard anything from the 3-date rule, the 5-date rule, the 7-date rule.
Yeah.
Whatever rule it is. If they're aware of that, because usually 3 dates, you're going to get some in some cases. Yeah,
better.
In some cases, it's almost like an unwritten rule now. If you know that, well, okay, so I've got to be good for at least 3 dates, and then I can turn it into total bag of shit.
Right. No, you're not. Okay, and let's talk about the date rule. You are not obligated to have sex with anybody after 3 dates. You want to do it on the first. I personally have had a 1-date rule before, because once again, I'm a serial monogamist, so let's just get to it. We're getting married anyway. No, seriously, but yeah, 1-date rule. You set the tone for when you want to have sex and have an honest discussion about it. But in this particular case of this woman, I don't really think she's manipulated as much as I think it's more along the lines of like, he may, I don't know, she might have different expectations than he does. This doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like a crazy red flag. I mean, once again, it's not very descriptive. So like I said, if you guys want full answers to questions, you got to be descriptive. We have to know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't enough. For myself, I'm going to say the verdict is out on this one because there really aren't enough details. I mean, I can make assumptions either way. I made some pretty good ones as to, yeah, it's possible, but I can't say definitively. One, I have no clue who you are. I don't know who he is. I don't know the lifestyles you lead. Also, another factor that comes into this is that different countries also have different standards. I mean, how we act in the United States is going to be different than how people act in England. Very similar, and how people act in England is going to be different than Norway, different than Australia, different. Australia and New Zealand, different. Sound very similar, but different.
No, I agree. We don't know the country they're from, which is a really good point too, because we're not sure what's acceptable and what's not. I mean, in America, this seems like your typical, I'm busy. That's really what this seems like. Like he might actually be busy, or if he is manipulating you, I mean, it's a really, really shitty thing to do. If you really feel like he's manipulating you and you want to pursue this relationship because you like him, and turn the freaking tables, man. Don't take someone's shit just because you like them. You are not obligated by any means to take anybody's shit at any time. So you say, why don't we go to your house? Or you call him and say, you know what, I'm coming over.
Yeah, I would actually say, well, for one, lay down some boundaries because you are losing control of the relationship. You're allowing him to dictate, which is another one of those things where it could turn dangerous, where he starts to dictate your time and your actions.
Some awful humans in the world. And that's the thing. Like I said, if you see this as something worth pursuing, I'm not one to tell you, don't do this unless you wrote in like, oh, he's beating the shit out of me, obviously then leave. But if it's a tiny little thing in your mind and it's not that big of a deal and you see yourself, really liking this person and you want to pursue it, just take a different angle and tell him, listen, you can't be coming over here all the time. Especially if it's not, especially at these times, if you have to work and you cancel, that's okay. We can reschedule for, call me on the day that that's what I do is if I know I don't have to work, that's when we're going to go out. And I know for a fact. Don't call me because I won't be here. If you have a high demanding schedule and you decide you want to date someone with a high demanding schedule, you really need to look at that because it's hard.
Let's see, how can I put this? Emotional intelligence. Remove the emotion out of it. I mean, sometimes it's very hard to do, especially in situations like this. But you have to remove the emotion out of it. And that way you can actually see, okay, if I don't change this, these are the long-term consequences. If you think it can turn nasty, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Call the cops. Start a report. Reports like this only take about 5 minutes. Any cop can do it. City cop, sheriff, state trooper, doesn't matter. It takes about 5 minutes. They'll open a report. At least you have something on documentation if this gets ugly.
As you can tell, I have zero problems communicating or stating my feelings. I think, and it does, believe it or not, it has a huge impact on whether or not someone's interested in you. Oh, you think too much, you talk too much.
And respects you.
Right. It respects you. Absolutely. And that's part of it. That's a big part of this whole thing is if he's not respecting your boundaries, once again, red flag, is it worth you pursuing? No. Talk to the guy. If he's clearly just a dick who's like, well, it's my rules, you do what I say, walk away, man. Walk away from that. Potentially that will really turn into something. So just, this goes down to what I say almost, I feel like every episode. Talk to the person. I don't know why everyone doesn't understand the importance of, having that conversation. And if you're dating someone you don't feel comfortable talking to, you have a whole new issue.
The reason for this whole episode, if nothing else, is just to bring awareness to this, kind of give both guys and women some tips on what to look out for and how you can possibly avoid it. The avoidance is that emotional intelligence. Step back, remove the emotions, look at it for what it is. And with that, we are out of time. Please leave a comment and rate the episode to let us know how we did with the topic and the question. Did we miss something that you believe we should have covered? Because we do value your honest feedback. As we said at the beginning, this would be a multi-part episode. The next episode will be a question submitted by a guy. So to hear it from the guy's perspective, be sure to listen to the next episode on manipulation. This has been a production of the Girls Ask Guy Show. Visit us over at thegirlsaskguyshow.com where you can subscribe to our newsletter, submit your questions, and request to be a guest on the show. Please rate our show and leave us some honest feedback to let us know how we are doing. We really appreciate everyone listening, and we will talk to you on the next one.